Grace and peace, everybody. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. You know what we're about to do. We're back. Hey, I just want you to think about an idea. Just think about something. Let's say, just for example, that you have a very serious health issue, whatever it is, okay? And it's there. It's diagnosed by a doctor, and you've got a second, maybe even a third opinion that this is a reality in your life, that you have this issue going on. I think it's fair to say that, and maybe I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong. The first thing you would probably start doing is taking the advice of the doctor, because they gave you an observation based upon reality, and you should probably, if they give you a diagnosis and they give you some suggestions after that, you would probably say, you know what, I should listen to what they're saying. I should roll with what Dr. Bumblebee said. Dr. Caterpillar has been my doctor forever. They haven't steered me wrong. They point me in the right direction. They said I have this malady and I need to get this resolved. So most people would do that. I don't think many people, and I'm going to go out on here on a limb as well, I don't think many people would start to take advice from people that are not the doctor, okay, that are not authoritative in their practice and not. So for example, you wouldn't go to like your mechanic and say, hey, my doctor said I have this going on, in my body. What do you think about it, mechanic person? Or you wouldn't ask like a bus driver, hey, bus driver, my doctor said I have this going on. I feel this kind of way. What do you think about it? Most of us wouldn't do that. We would probably listen to the authority. And then even with that, the suggestions and the solutions that the doctor gives us, we're going to hold ourselves accountable to resolve those. So they say, you got to slim down some, you got to drink more water, you got to sleep better, you got to get some better exercise, stop smoking, whatever it is, you know that you're accountable for those things, because the reality is that your body has this issue going on, and the doctor has suggested that you stop doing these things, or that you do these things. Drink more water, drink less carbonated beverages, this, that, and other, get some more sunlight, whatever the doctor might be, you know that you're being accountable for that. So it's fair to say that, I think it's fair to say that the doctor has given you a diagnosis and you're kind of responsible for that diagnosis. So you can't just run off and say, well, the doctor said X, Y, Z, A, B, C, but I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't do that. You can't just say, well, the doctor said stop eating out every day. I'm going to go ahead and eat out twice a day now. The doctor said I should drink more water. Pish posh. I'm going to start chugging 40 ounces of vodka every day. I think we would all realize, like, no, the doctor has given you the right diagnosis. If you trust the doctor and they're not a quack, you trust that the doctor gave you the right diagnosis to resolve the issue and the malady that you see in your body, and you're kind of responsible to resolve that. So if you come back in 2 weeks and you haven't seen progress, and the doctor's going to immediately ask you what? Well, are you drinking how much water are you drinking? How much sleep are you getting? How much exercise are you doing? Those kind of things, right? Are you taking the prescriptions I gave you? Whatever. I see you got the prescription filled. How much of it have you taken? Those kind of questions. But if the doctor comes back in 2 weeks and you see progress, the doctor's going to ask those same questions again, but they're going to say, hey, you drank 80 ounces of water. Let's keep that 80 ounces going. You've been working out, 60 minutes every day. Let's keep that going. They're going to give you some benchmarks to say, we're seeing success. It's pretty easy like that. And I think most of us agree to that. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to watch the women of The View. I don't rarely talk about The View, but these women on The View, I think, are a case study of not wanting to admit that the doctor is right, that the malady exists, and that there is a solution if you ask the doctor. But then even worse than that, the solutions that they've been given, they're going to completely disregard it. So let me bring it in. Let's see what we got. All right, let's go. Let's hear what these ladies got to say.
Democrats are a little bit confused about what to do. They're trying to figure out why their campaign message fell on deaf ears, and the finger pointing has begun. Watch this.
Senator Bernie Sanders he says that suggested that party leadership abandoned the working class. What's the White House response?
I respectfully disagree with the senator, and I think you can talk to unions. You could see the jobs that we've been able to create to disprove that. And this is a president that cares certainly about the people who do get forgotten, the people who are not able to make ends meet. He understands what it's like to sit around a kitchen table trying to figure out how you're going to pay for a medical bill, how you're going to pay for your kids' school, how you're going to pay for groceries. And so does the vice president.
So do you think Bernie was right about this, that they didn't pay attention enough to the working class?
Okay, we're going to stop real quick because I don't know all these women on The View. The young lady in the green and the young lady in the blue, I noticed that they both have solid colors. They seem to have the best finger on the pulse of the problem. Listen to this woman in the green.
He's absolutely right, but his solutions are wrong. Kamala Harris outperformed him in Vermont. The lesson Democrats should take is not we didn't run far enough to the left. They lost rural voters. They lost working class voters. And listen, I was someone who I'm recognizing, reflecting on this election. I had the privilege of saying I'm voting on democracy because I'm a high income earner. If your check engine light is on and you've got bills piling up on the table, you're not thinking about democracy. You're not thinking about the war in Ukraine. You're thinking about how will my life be better tomorrow? And the reality is this, we all sat around kind of wondering who is the swing voter that will decide this election? And a lot of folks thought it was women and abortion. No, it turns out it was people in the suburbs who are like, I can't stand Donald Trump's personality. I don't like how he talks, but my life was better off economically when he was president. And I'm struck by this.
But that's the middle class. We're talking about the working class.
I'm talking broadly.
Yeah.
He was not just the working class that he won. He also got the largest share of young voters for Republicans since 2008. That was the height of the financial crisis. Young voters, maybe they care about Gaza, maybe they care about student loans, but to be honest, 2/3 of this country doesn't even get to go to college. They were thinking, am I going to have a job? Am I going to be able to afford the life that I want? And finally, suburban women, sure, they definitely care about abortion. They also care that they're paying to send their kids to college and their graduations are being canceled because there's protests everywhere and because people are out in the streets demonstrating over a war somewhere else rather than just being able to educate their kids. There is so much room for self-reflection from the Democrats, and I hope they have it. Every time Joe Biden bragged about how good the economy is, another vote of someone struggling went to Donald Trump.
All right.
Okay, I got to stop right there. I think she was right on the money. And you're going to hear in a second the complete and utter disregard for accountability. But that's what there needs to be a coming to Jesus. There needs to be a sit down with the doctor and say, you know, the doctor look you deep in the eyes and say the harsh words to you, the real reality. They're not willing to do that. Watch how they shirk off this responsibility. Watch it. It's pretty masterful.
I disagree.
All right.
I think that I'd like to reframe the conversation. I think Bernie Sanders is wrong. I think the more relevant question actually is what is wrong with America? I think what is wrong with our country that the Republican Party would choose as a candidate and support a candidate who is an insurrectionist, who is an election denier, who is someone who is twice impeached, 34-time convicted felon, someone who has been accused of alleged sexual misconduct by 26 women, found liable for sexual abuse. What is wrong with this country that they would choose a message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny, over a message of inclusiveness, a message for the people, by the people, of the people?
That is what the problem is. It's the Republican Party.
But can I say
America?
something before we can do a second?
Okay. Absolutely. Again, I don't know the young lady in the green, but she's taking accountability and she's saying that there needs to be a reckoning. There needs to be an accountability about the messaging. Then this woman gets up there, Sunny Holston, rambling on about xenophobia and insurrection and Trump. Notice everything she's pointing at is all about Trump. So you would assume, following that there's nothing wrong with Kamala Harris. There's no need for her to go to the doctor. There's no need to have a deep dive into the campaign. No, that was spotless. The only problem is those mean other people, they voted differently. That's it. Not anything wrong with Kamala Harris's campaign, which I think most of us can probably argue, whether it be a lot or a little, there was something that could be fixed. And just like we could say the same thing about Trump. There's something that could be fixed. There's something that wasn't right on the money. They're not firing on all cylinders all the time. But let's continue.
The Democrats are the ones. They are the party that cares for the blue collar
Exactly.
voter. The Democrats are the ones who put in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, union protection,
ACA,
unemployment insurance, and Obamacare. The Republican Party doesn't give a rat's patootie about
clearly
it.
they didn't convince
Come on.
the voters of
So
that.
all I can do.
And I want to stop right there. That young lady said it, the clapping and Joy is rambling on. She said, but clearly they didn't convey that message. There you go. That's it. If this is true, then where was the messaging? Show me the message that conveyed that what you're talking about, Joy. I don't think it exists.
All I can deduce is that it's the messaging. It didn't get through to people. They're not paying attention. That's all.
Yeah,
because the Democrats have always been for the working people.
Exactly. And the Republicans
As long
don't
as
where was it?
The
economy's gonna
message of the
crash under
Democrats
Trump.
sounded elitist. You don't have value in the society.
They
if you don't have a
sounded
college
that way, but when
degree.
you look at the proof,
Yeah,
they weren't.
but Joy, it's
No one was saying
condescending.
that.
It's
On the Democratic
condescending.
side.
There is
What's
a
condescending?
the way that the left speaks to its voters.
And here is the young lady in the blue again. I don't know who these women are. She seems to have a pretty good grasp. Listen what she says here. And have we not heard this?
really is.
A message of joy and inclusiveness?
No, the message of not
It's
being
just what's wrong
educated,
with
being
America.
dumb, and what's wrong with America.
Who said that?
Sonny just did.
What is wrong with
just said
America?
it.
My point here is that
That's not what Kamala Harris said.
No.
That's
My,
what I'm
my,
saying.
my point is, I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. Go back as far as you want. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party.
You don't blame the Republican
Can I just
Party at
finish
all?
my point, please?
Why do you have to blame the Republican Party? They won. What do you blame them for? Blame them for what? Collecting a W? I ain't never heard that before.
I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sonny, why did they vote for him?
Yes.
In
So
sweeping.
they need to be introspective.
No, we need to be introspective. If we voted for
They
Kamala
chose
Harris,
out of
we
what
need to
you guys
say
offered.
what didn't resonate with the voters. Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform.
Yeah.
When they said
They
we're
also-
worrying
they
about,
also
can I just
focused on
finish?
gun
Let me
control.
just finish real quickly. When they were focused on
It's only
renaming
an hour show, ladies.
Joy, when they were focused on renaming schools, there were people saying, hey, students are destroying colleges. I paid for that. I sent them there. They can't learn. And everyone apologized for it and didn't want to attend to it. They also denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, it's fine. This is not a...
There was a border bill, though. There was a
the
border
11th
bill.
hour
Yes, but
3
Joy, my
years into
point
the
is they
Biden
screened and
administration.
screened. They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
but Sarah,
They
they
make
voted-
the majority of
how
this
do you know
country...
that?
And you hear the back and forth. And I if this is how the view is, I can see why people hate it so much, because the voice that this woman is saying, she's saying something that's very true. That is definitely, unequivocally something that needs to be considered. And it is talking her over and shouting over it. I can see why people don't like the view, but let's go.
Because
There's a lot
every stat coming out on the people
Yeah.
willing to self-reflect are showing these...
Oh, wait, they're going to say I'm a racist and misogynist in the exit poll?
You
I don't
really think
so.
74 million people are racist?
Who's gonna say that?
Every racist and misogynist voted for Donald Trump. Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category. And the reason they did is to say, hey, guys, no excuses this time.
Yeah.
They lost everything.
There's still half
Country
the
that
country
allows
doesn't
its
agree with
environment to be
him.
ravaged.
Okay, why did it? I hate, because that woman did say something. She was cooking. I need to add to let her cook. She was cooking. She said they swept. There's no excuse. Why are we not reflecting? So this point that Sonny is about to make in the Hispanic woman in the middle in a moment is completely moot, because they're talking about something totally different. They're not focusing on the issue that the doctor said they have, the malady that the doctor said. They don't care.
It's children to be shot. It's wealth to be hoarded. It's workers to be exploited. It's poor to starve. It's cops to murder.
So you think
It's
America's
a
the
country
problem?
in trouble.
So America's the
we
problem,
the
the
voters
voters
not
are
going to
the
make it
problem.
better.
What we were talking about was that Bernie Sanders basically thinks that the Democrats didn't lean into the working class as much as we should have. You agree, Anna, or disagree?
Well, Bernie Sanders been an independent, I think, most of his life, not a Democrat. But let
thought he was
me
a socialist.
because it's hard to understand how they voted for somebody who today they know who he is, right? In 2016, perhaps they didn't, and perhaps they thought he was going to change. Black people voted for somebody they know is a racist. Latinos voted for somebody they know is going to deport their abuela.
Yeah.
Puerto Ricans voted for somebody they know treats them like trash and has people around them who actually calls them trash. White women voted for somebody they know took away their reproductive
Yes.
rights.
So everybody, like, look at this ideology that she's using. White women only care about murdering babies. So no white women desire to see little babies born. all Puerto Ricans believe that they're trash. And it's funny because Joe Biden the next week said the exact same thing about Trump voters, but I digress. All Hispanics are worried about getting deported. All of them, really? 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 And all black people think that Trump's racist, even though he had more black voters than any other time before? Or really? That's what we're supposed to believe? Okay, whatever.
So all of those things are hard for people like me to understand, and it's going to take a while. I would say I'm not going to lecture Democrats because I only voted for 3 Democrats in my life: 2016, 2020, and now 2024. So I'm not going to lecture them on what their messaging should be as a lifelong Republican. What I am going to do, though, is tell.
But wouldn't you be the right one to say, like, this is why this voice, this party resonates? Because please keep in mind, I'm going on a limb, even if it weren't Trump, if it were somebody else that were running on the background and the history that Trump has, I still think they would have shellacked Kamala Harris. Now, sure, Trump is polarizing. He's a lightning rod. He did amp up a lot of people. No question about that. But I think most people, it wasn't his personality. It was his policies. However, in this, on The View, it's all personality. It's all personality, because they haven't told me one policy that Kamala Harris actually supported that they believe would have, that should have been elevated in voice.
The Democrats that are thinking of where they go in 4 years to start making their relationships now, because they need to, rebuild the coalition, and you can't show up and try to have relationships with Latinos at the end. You can't show up and try to have relationships with African Americans or gays or women or this or that at the end. That coalition building, that Obama coalition building, takes time, takes credibility.
You know what? I'm going to go on a limb. Instead of wasting time trying to segment people, do the right thing for Americans, and you're good to go. You do the right thing for Americans. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing and watch the Amish come running out to support you. Do the right thing and see more black men support you. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. How about that? Instead of worrying about segmenting and super segmenting Americans.
It takes showing up. Takes listening. Yeah.
I do think listening is big, because I think the question that a lot of us are facing is,
but you're not listening, because the woman in green was speaking and y'all totally ignored what she said. So why can't you put everything on the table and listen to and talk about and parse through everything? Just an idea.
That was either the Democratic brand or the Democratic messaging, that the majority of this country still preferred Donald Trump, who they know all these things that we don't like about him. They still preferred him. What's the answer to that?
Well, wait till he does his nice little tax break for billionaires coming up. And let's see how the working class likes that.
And to be honest, though, I just have to jump in here. The tax bill that was passed, the average family of 4 saved $4,000 a year on their tax bill. You may think it cut too much for the wealthy, but a lot of people, actually, the reason the economy was strong was in part.
Joy, but you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is what happened in 2017 when he coasted on Obama's economy.
Yeah.
Yesterday, one of the things that Biden said was that so many of the legislature, the bills that he got, the laws he got passed, like infrastructure, all of that money has been passed now, but all of those projects are going to happen during Trump. So Trump is going to get the benefit of cutting a lot of ribbons of things that he
opposed. Not a
opposed.
single American cares if it was Obama's economy, if it was Biden's, if it was Trump. They care. No, they care if they can make ends meet. Well, it wouldn't have been worse.
But back to Bernie Sanders, though, and the working class, I think he's onto something about feeling forgotten, because in 2 red states, they voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Go back and look at it. Let her go, Jason. Let her go.
But they voted on a ballot measure to raise the minimum wage to $15. 3 red states voted for Donald Trump, but voted to require employers to do paid sick days. These are things that are the working class. They're wooing those people that the Democrats have always.
Why do they cut back on Medicare and Medicaid?
I'm not saying they're right or wrong. The reason I vote, again, for Kamala Harris was because I actually think that's not the solution to their problems. But I'm also not one of those people. So,
but look, and we remember when Democrats went in the wilderness during the 80s, after Reagan, after the first Bush, then came Bill Clinton, and there was a realignment, and the Democrats realized what they had to do, and they were then in power for a while, for 8 years. And so I think that's going to happen naturally. What is not productive is pointing fingers at Joe Biden, who's not going to be there in 4 years, pointing fingers at Kamala Harris, who's not going to be running in 4 years, and pointing Trump. That's doing it for the good news.
So I don't know. I think that lady is very interesting. I think they're missing the young lady in the beginning. Really made the point that they should be listening to the voices and listening to the constituents that voted against Kamala Harris, voted for Donald Trump. All the xenophobias, all the isms and all that stuff, push that aside. What are the real grassroots issues? Those two women, the one in the green and the one in the blue, they seem to have a grasp that there were hard, what they call them, dinner table issues that drove this election. And these people seem to completely miss that. They seem to be completely nose blind to the fact that there's some real bona fide issues that these American people did not appreciate or felt overlooked or felt missed and such of that nature. And that's why they voted that way. So I think it was interesting. The View is this is nerve wracking. I don't know how people put up with that show, but I noticed Whoopi Goldberg wasn't there. So at least we had that blessing. So what do you think? Down in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that these women had it under control? You think they really had their finger on the pulse, or do you feel like they were completely shirking off accountability and not dealing with the real issue at hand? I'd love to hear what you think about it. This is going to be a one and done. So this video is done. I'm shooting it out. So until next time, everybody, grace and peace. See you soon.
Hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DLC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DLC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.